Whether you're married or single or poly or ace, or hanging out with swingers back at your place, listen to us as we give no fuck on Tinder and Bumble and plenty of yucks, trying and having no luck, because we all know dating kinda sucks. Sarah and Adam are two of a kind. He says stupid shit and she doesn't mind. They're not doing this show to make any buck. Life as a chicken whose feathers they pluck. Why does it work? Well, here is the crux. They both know dating kinda sucks. Dating kinda sucks.
I'm Adam Heath Avitable.
And I'm Sarah.
And this is Dating Kinda Sucks, the podcast about dating, sex, and relationships. This week we'll be talking about protecting yourself emotionally while dating. Enjoy the show.
Wine.
You drinking your glass of wine?
Wine. Getting settled in for today's episode.
Yeah.
You know, what else is there to do in quarantine besides drink, start a TikTok, and I don't know. What else are people doing?
Did you start a Dating Kinda Sucks TikTok?
I did.
I guess because I got some notification through email or something that, you know, where email was used for something, and I was like, she did not. Have you done anything on it?
I did one. It was basically the video that I posted on my Instagram of me saying, "Oh, wouldn't it be amazing if I worked out or whatever?" And I posted that on our TikTok. But my friend is really big on TikTok, and she's like, "You should build out from there. You could get a younger audience, and dating is so relevant, and you guys are both funny." And so I created it, but.
Eventually we'll try to we'll see what we can do.
We're not going to do one of those like Carol Baskin, you know, those stupid TikToks that are going on right now. If I see one more person dance to that song,
all the dances are. I'm so annoyed by all that stuff, because it's what it is one person does one thing that's interesting and everyone copies it. It's like memes, which I despise memes when, you know, one person starts a meme and everyone just shares it or copies it in their own way. And I'm like, no, like try to do your own thing, make your own shit.
And that's like the TikTok. Are you even on TikTok? I guess is my first question. Oh, okay. So that's like the one TikTok where the girlfriend wears a towel and then she walks in and drops the towel. Everybody's doing that one too. And yeah, sure, it's funny in a relationship, but I don't need to see that shit on TikTok. I've seen it 20 other times on everybody else's. You know?
And nobody's clever with it. It's fucking terrible. It's just the whole thing. Yeah. So. I guess if we're going to do something, it'll have to be decent. It'll have to be original, not just.
We'll start the trend.
Yeah, there we go. We can start a trend.
Yeah, something. Who knows?
Oh, so we're on. I don't even know what week this is of us.
I know what day
of quarantine. It's this is Sunday, April 12th. Is it 12th? Okay, yeah. April 12th.
Thank God for the calendar on my screen right now.
Right. Yeah. So it's April 12th, and we're recording episodes. We decided to go every other week. If you noticed, last week we did not have an episode because we're trying to keep the content. This is an interesting thing, and I don't know if anybody actually cares about this, but maybe they do. That we found that if we do a topic that's non-coronavirus quarantine related, just like
nobody cares.
Yeah, you know, like it's not really anything that it has relevance right now. So like it's not really an episode that's going to really have any just any impact on anybody. So we're trying to do things that are topics that are still maybe might be valuable even out of this quarantine once life has gone back to whatever normal is going to be, but also maybe very interesting to people who are currently trying to navigate the dating waters. And if we do that every week, we wouldn't be able to do it. So
yeah, plus our motivation is somewhat low too. I mean,
fuck yeah.
Just sitting inside all day, I keep thinking, do I really want to do anything today? Oh, I have to work, I guess. But yeah, right. So
it's true too.
Plus, a lot of people aren't really listening right now anyways, because they're busy with watching Netflix or creating their own TikTok channel. So that's fine too. Go do your thing, I guess.
That's right. We'll be here no matter what. And that's why actually we launched the YouTube channel too, because we figured maybe people are home watching things and instead of listening, they want to watch. And
drink with me too every time I take a sip. Now,
oh God, then you'll be fucked up. Yeah. We're gonna watch Sarah get drunk on this because I've already seen you take like half that glass of wine, and I know that's not your first glass of wine.
This is not my first glass of wine. So let's start with that too.
But yeah, and actually, if you are on YouTube, which I mean, who isn't on YouTube, and in some capacity, join us at youtube.com/datingkindasucks, and you can subscribe. and you can see what I look like, and which nobody wants to see that, but you get to watch Sarah. Look at her. I know.
No one wants to see that. We can see right now that you need some upkeep on the beard.
Yeah, I do.
We get it. It's quarantine life right now, so.
Yeah, I know. It's I need to rebleach it. I need to re-dye it. It's getting a little weird, and it's puffing out now too. And the trimming part I can't do myself, so I'm gonna find my.
You're fucked.
I'm gonna find my barber, and I'm gonna be like, "Can you just come over, just wear gloves and a mask, and just do my beard for me?"
Fix me. Yeah.
Exactly. Because I can't let this go too long. Because then people are just gonna think I'm like a homeless person if I'm wandering around. I don't want that.
God forbid, with a home that you're.
I know, a homeless person with a home. Yes. Last week's episode we talked about virtual dating, and I don't know if this is just a little point of a little housekeeping to mention, is that we have posted 4 on our Instagram, and that's at Dating Kinda Sucks, and also on our Facebook page too. 4.
You only posted 3. Did you just post the 4th one?
No, but Sarah, by the time this actually gets posted, the 4th one will be up there.
Oh my God. Okay, well, I'm just being accurate as of
Today
right
is
now.
Sunday.
So.
Nobody's going to listen to this till at least Tuesday, and it'll be up there tomorrow.
Right.
No, let's leave this in here. This is all raw. We're not editing anything anymore. Fuck editing. But we posted 4 scavenger hunts, and there are 4 different types of scavenger hunts that you can check out, that you can do on virtual dates. You can do them with your friends too. Some of them. Well, the 4th one is an adult one that you might not want to only do with friends that you really like, because it's all about sex. But the other,
wanted to post it on Easter, and he's like, "I love that we're doing a scavenger hunt that's adult content related on Easter." And then I thought about it and told him no.
I shouldn't have mentioned that to you, because as soon as I did, I was like, she's gonna tell me I can't do it, and
you were right. Yeah,
because I was just gonna do it, and then I should have talked about it. But yeah, so we have 4 scavenger hunts on our Instagram and on our Facebook page as well that you can use, and you can just enjoy and have fun with them. They can be fun with friends. Like I said, you have a Zoom hangout or whatever that you're doing, some type of happy hour. You can do a scavenger hunt. Some of them are information. Some of them are trying to like make things. I think they're kind of fun. So check that out. Fun,
and people have liked them as well. Just don't read all of it before starting either. I guess that the Act Fast one, I think number 3 of Act Fast, you want to just read it and then go. You don't have that much time to think. So I don't know. I wouldn't fully read into all of them before doing a Zoom.
I have no idea what is this. Can you tell me what number? I wrote them and I don't remember what it was.
The 3rd one that you did was Act Fast, and you have 30 seconds to do a task. So if you read all of it beforehand, then you can kind of plan it out, but don't read the 3rd one.
What is the 3rd one? Just go ahead and say it.
No. I mean, Act Fast in general, like the 10 things on that.
Oh, you mean the 3rd
image.
Actual scavenger card? Oh, yeah. That's just do one at a time. I see what you're saying. Okay, yes.
Yeah, don't read the whole thing and go, okay, now I'm going to start, because then you already start planning.
Well, you should do them one at a time anyways. It should be something you're like, all right, let's do number 1. And then you guys do number 1 together. And then, all right, let's do number 2. That's ideally what it is.
I mean, but if you're like me, I like to cheat and make sure that I'm the winner. So then I prepare everything and go, okay, how can I strategize this so I pick the best thing, not just like thinking on my toes. But that's just me.
Anybody who plays with Sarah is automatically going to be the loser.
I'm used to losing a lot, okay? I lose at every game I play. That's why I don't play games.
Right. There we go. But you can play these. These are fun.
Yeah.
And someone in the group was like, can we play this as a group? And I was like, that seems like a lot of work, but I could see some people having fun with that as well. In the Facebook group, someone was like, let's just play this. And I was like, yeah. Because here's the funniest part. I'm never gonna fucking do any of those. I know
you're not. That's why I love that you made those too.
I thought about that as I was making them, and I was like, "Oh, these are cool. People will really enjoy this. Like people who want to like just get to know the other person." And I was like, "What would I do if someone brought that up to me?" I was like, "Fuck no, I don't do that shit. I don't like. I'm just not a participator, and that's something I would have to participate in. No, I would rather But I think some people like that because it gives them like some some things to do. It's like having a schedule or some guidance. Whereas. Yeah, I'm just like, no.
The moral of the story, check out the scavenger hunts on our Facebook group at facebook.com/group/DKS podcast, or you can check them out on our Instagram at Dating Kinda Sucks.
That's right. And now let's get into whatever's been happening in our lives for the last couple of weeks.
What has been happening besides masturbating every day and having great skin? I mean,
I know, right?
Not all you're doing, because that's all I'm doing.
Mostly, yeah. I made a joke this morning that I woke up on Easter and looked at my pants and said, "He is risen." Yeah,
I know. You would. I was gonna comment on that and be like, "Really, Adam?" But it doesn't really surprise me.
Why would that surprise you?
It doesn't. It really doesn't. Oh man.
I haven't done much. There was someone that I originally matched with on Coffee Meets Bagel. I want to say it was like 3 months ago now.
I was gonna say, when was the last time you used dating app?
Right.
Wait, what?
And we were talking, but then she was on vacation, and then this all happened. And so like we never actually managed to meet up. Like it didn't happen in any capacity. And now we just every now and then we just kind of check in and text back and forth. And she started listening to the podcast and was like, "Oh, I really enjoy this." And we're like, so we've made like tentative plans that once everything kind of gets back to normal, we'll like go out downtown or something like that. So just a very kind of basic.
In 2 months, we will meet up in
right, exactly.
Basically where you're at.
Yeah.
So she does live in Orlando. So she's not at Tampa or an hour away.
She lives actually relatively. I think she's only like 7 or 8 minutes away too. So it's not too far either, which is nice. And what else did I had a little pool day with a friend that I'm semi interested in. That was fun.
Another pool day after the other one with the same person or no?
No, different person.
Okay.
Yeah, just someone that I'd met she was interested in hanging out, so she came over and we hung out in the pool all day, and then ended up sitting on the couch and watching a movie for a while, and then she left, and I think she'll be for now. Yeah.
Have you discussed that you're kind of interested in her, or has that conversation happened yet?
To a small degree, because it was one of those things where I said I really enjoyed it, spending time. She goes, "Yeah, me too." Like I was like, "I'd like to do this more," and she said, "I'm down, let's do it." So yeah. A little.
Okay. So how are you doing with the whole 14 days in quarantine and then going out? Are you, because I think a lot of people, at least in the Facebook group too, when people are asking them out on dates and they're saying, "Hey, come over," or I've been inside all day and I haven't, or for 2 weeks and I haven't seen anyone. You can come over. I'm safe. How are you handling that with friends and people coming over? Because I think a lot of people aren't. They're just staying in their own space right now and not seeing other people.
And I'm never like trying to convince anybody to come over. I'm like, if you want to, you're welcome to. If you want to come over and use the pool, whatever. Like it's the way that I'm approaching it is honestly, I have seen so few people in the last 3.5, 4 weeks, and that while one-on-one. And I'm not even saying physical contact, but just one-on-one interaction with someone does have some limited risk to it. It doesn't contribute to the spread of anything on a degree that is a huge issue. It's like if you had to see, for some reason you had to see a parent or something and you had no choice. This is one of those things. I'm also not going to be around anyone elderly. I'm not going to be around anyone. So if for some reason I know that the chances of me having it are damn near minimal, just because I've been alone essentially and at home. And if I'm and people seem to think, oh well, like if you hug somebody, you're automatically going to get it. No, it doesn't like somehow transfer skin to skin contact. It doesn't. It's a virus that transmits through certain ways. And if you are if someone breathes out in your face and you breathe in and you take it in, there's a risk there. But there's a lot of ways that you can still be completely safe.
I'm more afraid about going to the grocery store than anything else. But
that's
why I think I have more. I have a lot of anxiety with just going outside of my place in general right now. Yeah. But that's if I can not go to the grocery store, that's my plan.
I haven't been to the store in probably 3 weeks because I did a really big shopping trip, so I was able to get everything I needed. I need to go next week, so I'll have to go again. But I'm not as worried about that anymore either. It's just it's one of those things that you can be safe and you can be careful without being hysterical. And there's this certain hysteria about it too that I've seen. Like I've gone to pick up food. And I've gone to, you go and you have a restaurant that has a to-go window or whatever, and you stop and like they get the food. I have hand sanitizer. I sanitize my hands after I get the food from them. Usually it's paying touchless, so I don't actually have to touch anything to pay them. And then I bring it home and I put it on a plate, and then I wash my hands and I throw all the packaging away, and I eat my food. Like and I'm not really worried. The chances of somehow that transmitting is minimal. And so I know that I probably, it's very unlikely that I have been exposed to it. If I have from somebody coming over, from somebody who lied to me that said they whatever, or somehow they got exposed to it and they come over, then I'm not going to be around anybody who's elderly or around anybody who's immune compromised anyways. Like I'm not going out and spreading it around anyways. So Whatever.
So whatever. It's not like you're asking, because like in our Facebook group where someone said, oh, I've been alone for whatever, how many days, you can come over and let's just hang out. It's not like you're doing that, you know, for a first time meetup.
Right. No, I'm just like, hey, if you need to get out of your house and you need to see a person, come over. We'll hang out by the pool. You don't even have to, we can stay as far apart as you want. I don't care. And then, you know, you can go. It's up to you. And if someone wants to, they're more than welcome to.
Yeah, I have too much anxiety. Like I was gonna, funny enough, I was gonna go to the grocery store with the doctor today.
Really?
That face. Yeah, we were gonna
Don't worry about the grocery store. Worry about him.
Well, yeah, and that's another thing, that he was gonna give me a mask and gloves too. So I was like, okay,
a big plastic ball for you to walk around in, so you don't.
I mean, no, he didn't. I don't think he was supplying that, but he had at least the mask and gloves for me to wear, and then we were gonna drive separately and then meet up there. It's an Asian market or whatever that I had never been to. So we were going to go there. And then I took a shower and had a lot of anxiety just going outside. And the last place I really want to go is the grocery store. So I just texted him. I was like, can we just rain check this? Because there's no way that I can do this right now. So, but that's just me.
Yeah. So if you
what is
nothing. It's just the fact that I didn't even, realize that you were still chatting with him.
Oh no, like we talk probably every other day, but it's not like that though.
Right.
So after not last week's episode, but 2 weeks ago, the episode, he called me and I predicted it, right? He called me and we talked about what I said on the episode, which is fine. And I don't know, it was an actually constructive conversation, and then now we're cool. So I don't know. It's fine.
Okay.
There's nothing there, but
right.
It's nice to talk to him. I've always enjoyed talking to him. So
okay, well that's good. Yeah. What about dating app experiences or virtual dating? You were having some virtual dating experience things. In fact, I think after we were about to finish recording 2 weeks ago, you had one planned shortly thereafter, didn't you?
Right. Yeah. So I went on a virtual date. At the end of March, I went on 2 with one guy that we talked about last week, and then I went on a virtual date. I don't even know what day it was. Probably Tuesday or Wednesday of this week with someone as well. I still hate virtual dates. That's what I've heard. And I actually have one tonight too with somebody else at 8:00 tonight. So I'm not gonna fix my hair or anything this time. I'll look. So whatever.
Let me ask you, if you hate them, why are you continuing to schedule them?
Because I actually like the conversation that I'm having with the person on the app.
Okay.
So for me, and for this guy too, it wasn't just like it was one day or whatever. This has been over, I would say 5 or 6 days now. And then he kind of asked, what's the next step with this? Have you done a virtual date yet? And I said I had. And so that's kind of how we got to that point. And the same thing with the person, the other, this past week too. So, I mean, I don't love, it's more of ending the conversation that I don't love, to be completely honest, okay, how much longer are we going to do this? But I think giving yourself a solid hour is probably a good amount of time, now that I've done it multiple times now. Just saying an hour, and that's kind of where we fizzled out and said, okay, well, we can do this again.
I feel like, listen, I got to go poop, so I'm going to go now.
I'm not going to ever say that.
You should totally say that, because they'll be like, oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, totally.
No, absolutely not.
Please do that sometime. If it's not going well sometime, just be like, hey, I got to poop. I got to go, and then just hang up.
No, that's not gonna happen. You just continue to say no. So let's see. But to revisit so I had a virtual date with someone this past week, and we haven't talked since then. So I think that probably just died. We got off the date. He texted me. I texted him back, and then we haven't talked since. So it's been 4 or 5 days since that virtual date happened. So I just say, well, that probably didn't go anywhere. Just fine, whatever. But the virtual date that I had at the end of March, that actually, there's a new story that's unfolded.
New story,
yes. A new story has unfolded with that individual. And like you can expect, I have receipts on everything, so I'm just gonna pull out my receipts right now. So we talked about last week that he has a daughter and he lives 3 hours away. And I listened to this episode, the last week's episode before today, or today. So I know what I said, but last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever the fuck time, I'm drunk.
What is time?
What is time? I don't even know. I said that, this is me processing too. Do I just like talking to him because I'm lonely? Where could this possibly go? Because he's 3 hours away. We hadn't spoken at that point for 3 to 4 days, so I hadn't heard anything from him. So at that point too, it was kind of similar to how the guy that I most recently went on a virtual date with, it's kind of fair game of, okay, well, we haven't texted since, so if you must not be interested, and that's fine. I don't,
sure.
At that point too, I don't really need an explanation as to why we went on a virtual date. It is what it is. We haven't texted, on to the next one type of deal. So that's kind of what I thought about this guy who lives in Memphis of, okay, well, we haven't talked in so long and whatever. But I had also added him on Snapchat too. And I had tried Snapchatting him after the fact of recording that episode. And every time, and I didn't think anything of it, but every time I tried to send him a snap, I would send the snap and then, get off the app or whatever. And then I went back to check because I realized he wasn't responding to any of my Snapchats. And then all of my snaps said pending, which at the time, I asked myself, what does that mean? Because none of the other snaps that I've ever sent have ever said pending, but I could still see his snap story. So did he block me? Did he unfollow me as a friend? So I can only see his stuff and he doesn't get anything of mine. So I just thought that was really weird. And then I realized that he did just unmatch with me, I guess is the word to say, on Snapchat. So when I realized that, I just was like, okay, whatever, he clearly wasn't interested and we haven't talked since, so it is what it is. So that was as of yesterday. And so yesterday night, I was actually looking for my phone for 15 minutes and I found my phone and then I find my phone. How much
wine did you had to drink to that at that point?
No, 0. I didn't even drink yesterday. No, it was just, I had misplaced it. It was like under my laptop in a weird spot on my bed and I realized I found it. But as I pulled up my phone, I got a text from him and it was a really long text. But first, the receipts.
What first?
So
we can read him and I can interact. I can reenact him and you can play you.
Okay, but you don't have all the text messages before yesterday.
I mean, that's true. That's true.
Let me read. I should have planned this better and given you everything. Let me read all of the text messages from our last 2 days of text conversations, which was Wednesday, March 25th and Thursday, March 26th. Here we go. 9:14 a.m. Hey, good morning. That's him. Hey, how's it going? Pretty good. Today is shaping up to be a busy day at work. How'd you sleep? I slept well, but I'm not doing so hot mentally right now. I'm so fucking alone and I hate it. March 25th was a very hard day for me. I had cried 3 times that day because I think the reality of COVID-19 was finally setting in that this is going to be a long-term thing and I'm going to be alone for a while. Anyways, back to the story. He goes, ugh, I hated it too. I'm pretty bummed. To be honest, I wish I was there. I wish there was some way we could hang out. That would help for sure. Yeah, I agree. Anything I could do to help in the meantime? Do our FaceTime dates help? I said, they do, but it's not the same as seeing someone. He goes, agreed. Well, keep your head up. Maybe we could figure out a way. I said, we will. He goes, I wish I could help. I totally would consider breaking this whole stay-at-home thing this weekend. I said, haha, I know I really need that break for my mental health. He goes, if I am stopped, I am going to say I'm checking on a friend or something to that effect. I said, I really think I'm going to go hiking this weekend. Sunday looks good here. He goes, yeah, Sunday looks great here too. If you were here, we could hike Shelby Farms. I think that's allowed. I said, yeah, hiking right now is still allowed. He goes, that's good. Well, I'm sorry you're down. Let me know if you need anything. That was Wednesday. Okay. Thursday. So, and that was around 1 p.m. on Wednesday. Thursday at 3:32 p.m., I texted him. I said, I sent him a screenshot of a Hillary Clinton tweet. Said, Hillary with another tweet. He said, she's getting good at it. I said, oh yeah. He goes, hope all is well, by the way. And then later that day, so at like 9:30 that night, so I didn't respond again until 9:30. I said, things are good. I'm just happy I got to see the sun today. Still, I was going through hard shit that day, but I didn't respond from 3:30 until 9:30 that night. Sure. So then he didn't respond to my Thursday, March 26th text until Friday at 6:58 a.m. Good. That was it. Okay. That was the end of our conversation. That was it. So then now you can play him. Now yesterday at 8:44
p.m. he sent you this text.
Yep.
Maybe on your next dating podcast, you can do an episode on how to properly tell someone you're not interested. Dating apps world events have made communication sucky as it is. I really liked you, which is saying a lot for me. It's common courtesy, especially after a couple of FaceTime dates, I would think, to at least say I am not interested. Instead of ghosting and barely chatting next time, employ a little compassion. I hope this makes your podcast and it forces you to think about other people's feelings a little.
I hope this makes your podcast. Well, it did make the podcast, but we'll get into that in a second. My answer. It's not that I'm not interested. It's that I don't know where it would go considering you live 3 hours away. And who knows when we would actually meet in person. I tried Snapchatting you back and replying to your snaps a few times, but they never went through. I took the hint from there.
Now you know how I felt to your very short, blunt texts. Yeah, that's the problem with dating. Not keeping an open mind. I deleted you after your short 2 to 3 word responses to me several times. I really liked you and would not have cared about 3 hours of distance. That's nothing, especially with everything going on. Seriously, it's okay to say, I don't see this going anywhere. I am not interested. This is really a good topic for your podcast. Instead of podcasting about dating, maybe practice communicating on your own. Maybe the title of the podcast can be How to Tell Them You Are Not Interested.
Thanks for the suggestion.
No problem. And then he gives you the middle finger.
But what I really want to say was, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
I was on the phone with you when I got that text too.
Yes,
I was like,
did.
Adam,
Yes,
Adam, what the fuck? I am not okay with this. I'm going to say something. And you just kept saying, there's no reason to respond. You don't need to respond. And obviously I responded with that. But so that was.
Yeah, there's no reason to respond because we have a perfect forum for responding to these type of things and discussing them so that other people can learn how to deal with things and how not to respond and how not to maybe treat someone that they're interested in. He really liked you, but then deleted you off Snap because he was like butthurt about your responses. I don't know.
Well, you heard my responses though, right? They weren't one-word answers. And
no, they weren't.
It was the fact that I wasn't responding quick enough. I don't know. I don't know. And I talked to my friend about this too. And obviously everybody has feelings and he was feeling upset about it and his feelings are whatever. I was going to say valid, but at the same, like everybody has feelings about certain things. And obviously
of course his feelings are valid. How you act on those feelings is different.
Right. And she was saying that maybe he used the deleting me from Snapchat to pull a high school girl move of, oh, well, maybe he'll notice if like playing a game, basically, of maybe if I delete her from Snapchat, she'll notice and then she'll text me and then I'll go off on her and then we'll be fine again or whatever. Because I mean, he knew 2 to 3 days after he deleted me, which was prior to the episode being available, that he was pissed off because I was sending short responses. So that was before I'd even said anything on the podcast, which is funny because when I called him out through text on, tried sending Snapchats, he was as I was replying, he was typing something too. And then I sent that and it took him like 20 minutes to send another text message. So I got you. But at the same time, what is the point in you having the final word? We hadn't talked in 2.5 weeks, basically 16 days, I guess not 2.5 weeks, basically 16 days.
Right.
And now you're going to come at me and say, oh, well, this is so inconsiderate. Did you just listen to the podcast? Again, I didn't say anything offensive. It's not like I called you a terrible father. It's not like I went after your kid on the air. I'm not a monster. I do kind of suck sometimes, but Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Well, I didn't attack your parents.
No, you didn't say anything wrong on air at all. You didn't say anything wrong. You said just basically very honest things that would have been fine. But that doesn't even matter because he had already made the choice to delete you on Snapchat before that episode aired.
Yes, exactly.
Which means
he really did. Actually he did.
He did because when you tried to reply, so you already knew that. So there's one of two things. It's either one, he was trying to play a game. He was hoping, maybe if I delete her, she'll notice and she'll reach out and say, hey, what happened? And which is just passive aggressive as shit and pathetic.
And I don't play that shit anyway, so I don't really
games are
care.
Just immature and childish. You be an adult and you just say something. Or he was actually genuinely upset that you hadn't, sent him anything else recently. And so he decided, I'm just going to delete her from Snapchat. In which case, why did he care anyways? He was done with you. Both of those are whatever.
Because I was sending him even after the episode dropped 2 Tuesdays ago. I was still Snapchatting him, before I really, like, it really said in of, oh, pending means this. And I was on pending for a while, but I had sent him multiple Snapchats and like messages through there, and then they were all pending. So it's not like I didn't try to reach out, because I did think, oh, I wonder how he's doing, because we hadn't texted, and then I would see a story and then respond, and then that's when it set in, and then I was like, okay, cool. I guess you're not interested. I guess but him criticizing me for ghosting is such fucking bullshit, though, because it's not like he texted me back. It's not like he was putting in any effort, but yet I'm the one with the podcast who gets the blame, because I'm the bad guy.
Fuck that guy. Fuck that shit. Because here's what he tried to do is he basically was trying to make you feel bad for him deciding he didn't want to talk to you anymore, and then you didn't reach out because of it. Like that's really what happened. He's as equally culpable in not responding as you were. So, fuck that. It's passive aggressive. It's emotionally immature, and it's borderline gaslighting. He's trying to be like, oh, well, maybe employ a little compassion, and your 2 to 3 word answers, which you just read what you said, and those were not 2 to 3 word answers. Those were legitimate, significant answers and replies. So he's gotten his own head and then acted like a little child and showed his true colors, and means that 3 hours, he could be 3 minutes away, and he's still too far fucking away for you to want to spend time with him.
Fucking preach.
Yep.
Preach. Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
I just don't have, and I think it's because I've dated so many people who like him too, and I had said on the last episode, I really think he's a nice guy, and you asked if he wasn't 3 hours away, would I still be interested? And I said yes. All of those things were said that last episode, which is why I'm questioning, well, why did he go off on me? Because I was processing myself of, am I talking to him because I'm lonely? Because why? But that's something that I'm really doing with everyone, and I'm evaluating with every single person that I talk to, even with the doctor. Am I talking with him because I'm lonely? Because he's responding back to me? Because I actually enjoy his company? What's the valid reason behind it? Because I don't want to use anybody, and I don't want to use anyone as an emotional support, person during this time, which we'll get into with this episode, but a lot of us are experiencing loneliness, and I do want to lean on people who aren't just my friends and having that emotional connection. But I'm not going to be manipulated into talking to someone and whatever, because I know better, and I'm going to be real with myself and go, okay, I don't like you or whatever. But I didn't say that about him, but it's just really stupid, and it really fucking pissed me off, because that's not, and I called you and I said, did I really do something wrong? Because at my core, I never want to be the person who hurts another person, but that's the way I read it as, well, he stopped talking to me, so I thought we were done anyways. I didn't say anything malicious on air, and I never, unless he really did something shitty, I was just processing my emotions. But I always get attacked because I come on here and I'm just fucking real.
And the thing is you would probably have communicated that to him if he hadn't deleted you on Snapchat, showing you that he wasn't interested. So he made that choice for you, and then got shitty when you talked about it on air. Yep. And it's an ego thing. It's an ego thing. And he's like, oh, I'll show her. I'm going to make her feel guilty by trying to just make this too, like, now you know how I felt to your very short, blunt text. What now? So it's like he is treating it like a game. Well, and people who play games are shitty people.
Well, that, and he wanted to be on the episode. I hope you talk about this. So then he would get the self-validation of like, oh, well, she's talking about me. Clearly, like, I won. There is no winner or loser here. But if there was,
no, there is. You're the winner and he's the loser. He's absolutely the loser. 100% a fucking loser. Sitting at home and being like, oh my God, why would she talk about me when, I played games and she didn't want to respond to it? Like, fuck that. Yeah, loser. Absolutely. Big L right there.
Well, a couple other people said too, well, this sounds like, because it took him 16 days to finally message me again, that it sounds like he was messaging some other person that fell through and then wanted to blow off steam on me, which I didn't really consider until someone brought that up. But
I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I mean, even if that was the point, I really don't care.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing is, I really don't think that's true though. I think it really is that he just listened to the episode and decided to rewrite history on what happened, and just with his own revisionist history was like, oh, now I'm a victim.
But who has receipts? But who has receipts? I'm sorry.
He could have just read up on his text and probably could have fucking seen it before he texted you too. And instead, he decided to invent this thing that you were short with him, which you obviously were not. And here's the thing: is maybe I should be a little sympathetic about it. Everybody has
feelings, and I get that. Feelings. But you can control how you respond to those feelings.
Yes, he could have said, "Hey, I'm sorry things didn't work out. I deleted you on Snap because I was really feeling like you weren't interested, and maybe I shouldn't have done that because I maybe it gave you the wrong impression. But I'm still into you. I'd maybe we can still chat or whatever." That would. And I
would have responded to that and been like, "Okay, cool. Let's talk and figure out where things are." I would have responded to that fine, actually, because I was wondering how he was doing. It's not like just because he fell off the face of the earth and we stopped Snapchatting and texting, I still thought about him of, oh, I wonder how he's doing, or I wonder what happened to him. But I just never messaged him because I figured he was, he was kind of done with me. So I didn't bother. And someone else had sent me on Instagram a video, and it was basically saying, when you're hysterical about a situation, it's historical. So how you respond to certain things, it was an interesting relationship thing of if you blow up on someone, there's some history or some underlying thing behind why that set you off and why you felt the need to blow up like that. So I was like, maybe that's something too. I don't know. Again, I don't really want to look into it any further.
Yeah. Or maybe you're just a whiny man baby who likes to manipulate people and be passive aggressive and play fucking games too. You never know.
I'm pretty straight up with how I feel about a person and just this whole experience in general, and I expect the same. So he could have messaged me a lot sooner, saying whatever.
He could have been an adult about it, but he wasn't. And
absolutely. So, but then again, he's going to say to me, well, you're not an adult about it from talking about it on here, or, you're so childish for whatever. But I'm just airing out this is how I feel. This is exactly what happened. And like I said, it's not as if I attacked his parenting styles, said anything about his daughter, said anything about anything. I'm not that fucking terrible of a person.
You didn't do anything wrong. So, stop trying to there's nothing.
That's how I when I got those messages, that's how I internalized it as shit. Did I say anything? What did I say? Did I say anything about his kid? We made a joke about, I don't know how old, I don't have a kid. I don't know how old she is, but that's not me saying anything about his daughter in any way over just making a joke of I don't understand kids, which is nothing new. So yeah, that's been what's going on in my life in the past 24 hours.
Now you should actually block his number so when he hears this episode, he can't text you something else.
The motherfucker's blocked. Don't you worry.
Okay, good. Well, before we end
texting me, that is your sign.
Yeah.
I know you're listening, right?
Yeah, the middle finger. Before we go to break, what do you think this means as far as I think we should talk about with FaceTime dating, virtual dating, which is going to be the norm for a little bit longer? Do you owe somebody, hey, this isn't working out? Or is it just like texting with people and you have to be if it just disappears, it disappears. It means there was nothing there.
That's what I think. If it just... If they just stop messaging, like the other guy that I had a virtual date with this week, we haven't texted in 4 days. If it disappears, it disappears. If he comes back up in another week or two and we're still in the same situation at staying at home, which we probably will be, I'll still respond to him. I get it. It's a weird time, and I think you have to take a lot of the stuff out of context and go, okay, well, this is a different situation, so people are processing things differently. People's mental health is weird right now too, and work and not having work, and I don't know. That's just me though. I don't think the same rules apply. If they don't respond to you within 24 hours, then whatever. I mean, you never owe anyone. Obviously, it's different. If you've been virtual dating for a week straight of Skype or a FaceTime every single night, and you've been texting, and then all of a sudden out of the blue, nothing, then I think, okay, well, what just happened? Whatever, But if it's you go on one and then you text a little bit and then it kind of dies, well, okay, it's fine. You can try to bring it back up again. You don't have to, but no one owes you I'm really not that interested right now. And I think some people will disagree with that, but unless you really felt a connection, but then again, no one is owed an explanation of oh, I'm not that interested or whatever. I just think it's one of those. Take it out for right now. You haven't,
because you haven't invested that much time and effort. You haven't even had to put on a fucking pair of pants.
Thank you
for this. So then it's fine. I think you're okay if you decide just to stop talking to somebody and just let it die. If you want to tell them, hey, this isn't working out, you're welcome to. But if you just decide to let it die, that's okay too. If it is something where you develop some type of actual connection, like you said, then maybe you feel like you want to. But once again, everything right now is just it is a weird time, and I don't think you owe anybody anything.
Yeah, I mean, for me, if it was over a long period of time, I would say, hey, whatever. But it's like I had the same thing with someone else, and we've never even had a FaceTime date. We texted for a week straight, and then we both kind of just died on it, and no one said anything, and I'm not offended by it, and he's not offended by it. I think overall, everyone on the dating apps, this is what also pissed me off about that message I received last night. Everyone on the dating apps is basically just sitting and waiting. Right. No one's expecting, oh, we're gonna go on a date. Oh, this is gonna move to the next level. Everyone's just kind of playing it safe right now with their feelings anyways. No one's diving deep in and going, I had 2 great fucking FaceTime dates. I totally like this person. Everyone's being really conservative with their feelings because they've got a lot of other emotions going on outside of just trying to see if a relationship or whatever could work with another person.
Absolutely. And that's what we're going to talk about when we come back from break.
Damn right. I'm sweating. Perfect. We're cutting this out, right?
Yeah. I mean, well, I'm gonna stop recording anyways. Hold on. Stop recording. So in our Facebook group, we've had several people recently post about conversations they've had with men on dating apps, where guys have tried to essentially invite themselves over or convince the person to come over right now during COVID-19, and while we're all trying to flatten the curve and not do these things. And I know that I'm obviously a terrible example. I've just said I've had someone over as well, but I'm not forcing anybody to do anything. I'm
right. We just talked about that.
Yeah, we talked about.
You're not forcing it. You're saying if you want, if you're bored, I'm fine. But yeah.
But like we had somebody in the group who, she's chatting with this guy and he's like, oh, I'm 28, never married, no kids, no STDs of any kind. I have a job. I get told I'm a rare breed. And then they keep talking.
Hey, what?
I know. Like that right there.
Already is too much. No, goodbye.
That right there was like usually enough that I was like, oh, that guy. But anyway, so he says, and then he's like, so I'm off at 8 if you want to come chill. My car can judge you. I don't know why the car thing makes any sense. But if you want to come chill, haha, JK. So like he's like testing the waters. And then he says something like, nothing has changed. This quarantine is fake. Girl, come nerd out with me. And she replies, no, I'm not going to. I'm going to, I'm going to celebrate Easter, but I'm not going to. And then he says, listen, I'm safe. My ex was a nurse and said I didn't have symptoms. I'm fine, but I'm not going to beg a girl to come chill. Final Fantasy in bed seems more fun. And she replies again, very intelligently, yeah, you might not, but this disease can be asymptomatic. It's the whole reason why it's so dangerous. I'm also not going to a stranger's house to meet for the first time, which is, just to say, right. And so finally he says, well, I'm not interested in investing months of time messaging and blah, blah to meet up and not have chemistry. So I believe we're going to shake hands and part ways.
No hard feelings. Your hand.
yeah. She should have been like, I'm not going to fucking shake your hand. And she's like, are you serious? We exchanged like 3 messages. That's not months of time. And I'm not looking for a pen pal either, but these are unique circumstances. Good luck finding a woman who'll come to your house for a first meeting, and then peaced out. But yeah.
Well, that's the thing though. Insisting that someone comes over to your house for a first date. Yeah. Unless you really just want to fuck, which I don't advise just going over to hook up with someone during these times when you don't really know, when you don't know them, but it's so douchey.
Yeah, he's not I said in the comments, I said he's not really a rare breed. He's your common everyday fuckboy asshole, obviously.
I mean, everything else in his profile said he was a dick anyways. The first thing you read on there, I was like, come on. Yeah.
So this was like this post and a few others from other people kind of inspired maybe this topic idea that right now I think is a time that there's a lot of and a lot of maybe men out there. It could be women, although I haven't heard of women doing this as much. Men really pushing to try to like make the most to try to get this Netflix and chill thing happening on first dates because they can, because like you can't go anywhere. So why not just do Netflix and chill? They're not trying to court. They're not trying to, court the person. They're not trying to, like develop something virtually. They're like, just, come over and let's get that dick wet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically.
Well, what pisses me off is his comment of, I'm not trying to keep this going for 3 months. Okay, I'm not saying it has to, but let's actually form some kind of connection beforehand. I mean, sure. A lot of people, myself included, are missing that physical connection with someone. I haven't hugged someone in a while. I get that. Right. But at the same time, you can't just go from 2 messages to going, "Hey, come over." Unless, even before this whole shit started happening, unless you really just want a dick, that was the only reason you would go over before forming some kind of other relationship. You would just go over. But now I think the smarter thing is having a text conversation, then having a FaceTime, then building that out a little bit, then deciding, okay, well, maybe, and I wouldn't even say going over to their house is a good idea. I know a couple people who have done walks in the park with masks on and stayed 6 feet away, and they kind of they met, they waved, and then they walked around the park and talked a little bit, and that was okay. That was okay for both of them, and they felt fine with that. That I'm like, okay, I mean, that could work. Now that parks and stuff are closing, I mean, now you can't really do that, but I mean,
well, and it's yes, there's things you can do in a lot of places. Like I had a lunch date with my best friend Lisa, who has been a guest host a couple times, and we basically in Sodo, the waterfront, was doing a chicken sandwich deal for lunch. They're trying to stay in business with a pickup thing, so we went and picked up chicken sandwiches and then parked our cars next to each other and basically sat there and ate our lunch and chatted. And I hadn't seen her in a couple of weeks, and it was nice to see her.
That's really cool, yeah.
And then we left. And so you can do things like that where you at least get to see the person and maybe say, "Oh, hi, this is what you look like. This is in person. This is
you exist still."
You actually or a park type thing, if that's open, could work. You just to walk around a lake, something, you could do that.
I've seen a lot of people actually, because I don't live far from a park, that people for lunchtime would sit far away from the other person and bring their own food and sit 6 feet away on their own little blanket, and then they would talk back and forth, and they brought their dogs. And honestly, I thought that was a good idea. And it was funny because there were cops still around the area too, and they had masks on too, and they were just sitting there talking, eating lunch, enjoying the sunshine, and staying 6 feet away, being outside. That I didn't think that was like the worst thing in the world that I've ever seen. So
right. Yeah, no. So there are ways that if someone wants to put some effort into it, and of course there's the FaceTime dates too, which I mean that right there. So hold on, I have a question about masks. When you go out, do you wear a mask?
I have a scarf.
You have a scarf.
I don't have a well, and I think
I figured you'd have some trendy fashion mask by now. I figured you would have ordered it online, something that you thought was great.
No, but did you see? Oh my God, I should share this on. I need to share it after this on our Facebook group. Someone had a mask that had a bunch of penises on it. And she was wearing the mask at the grocery store, and someone approached her and said, "Excuse me, ma'am, do you realize you have penises on your mask?" And she goes, "Yep, if you can see that they're penises, you're too close. Get the fuck away from me."
That's awesome. I love that.
That's the mask I would get, and I shared that with my mom, and my mom was like, "Oh, of course you would notice this." But if I got a mask, that's what I would get. But I only have a scarf, and I just tied it around like the back of my head or whatever. But I wore that at the grocery store, and then when I go on runs, it falls off. So I mean, I haven't been wearing it on my runs because one, there's no one outside anyways. But I've seen a couple of people on Facebook actually say it's irresponsible to go on a run without a mask on. But for me, my mask isn't going to stay, and it's a scarf, and it's falling down, and I don't have anything else.
What's going to happen? I don't understand. Do they think that you breathing out that those air particles are going to float around like the feather in Forrest Gump and just
there's literally no one
from house to house
when I run? It's not like I'm running on a trail or anything. I'm running in an area where there are no people.
Yeah.
So I'm not whatever, but there was a lot of backlash online about that too. So I've been wearing it when I go out and I know that I'm going to be around people. But for the most part, if it was a date like that where I was to sit so far away from another person in a park and just have lunch or whatever, I don't know if I would necessarily wear it just because I'm so far away. But that's just me. I don't know, because I'm not in an enclosed space where if someone was to cough, that would get stuck in. If I was inside, that would get stuck in the air versus outside where it dissipates. But
absolutely,
I'm not a fucking doctor. I'm not a scientist. I just have an opinion. So
I'm waiting just in case they start requiring masks, which seems like a really weird requirement for going out in public. Some counties and some places have done that. And I have a friend making me a mask that's big enough to cover my beard. Because there's no point of wearing a mask if you have a beard anyway. Like it kind of defeats the whole purpose, a beard.
Mm-hmm.
like you can't really cover things. The mask doesn't really cover well when there's a beard, so she's making me a giant one that'll cover the whole beard.
I didn't really think about that.
Yeah. So, but I was gonna just wear the Batman mask that I have. It doesn't have a mouthpiece on it. Just wander around the grocery store like that. Can you imagine me just wearing like a giant latex Batman mask and walking around the store?
I can. I really can. Or one of those the dinosaur outfits, or wearing something.
Or I have these giant like rave heads that you like wear when you go to like EDM and stuff like that. They're like one's a big panda.
There? Is that what's up there?
Big tiger. Yeah, they're up there. Yeah, there's a panda and a tiger. And I could just wear one of those and wander around. That would be pretty funny too. Anyways, sorry, I didn't mean to
on that tangent. Yeah, okay. Going back to dating.
Going back to dating. So anyways, yeah. So this idea of not even in this current time, in dating in general, it's important not to let someone manipulate you. Obviously, it's important. Yes. But right now, when anxiety is at an all-time high for people, depression is at an all-time high. We are feeling the need for human contact and for human approval because we don't have that every day. It's easy to fall into the trap of letting someone convince you to do something because you're like, oh, well, maybe they're right. Just because you're so lonely. And I thought it'd be important to maybe talk about how not to do that.
Well, I think the Facebook example was a good one of just explaining, hey, this is not a good idea, and you can be asymptomatic and whatever, and just holding your ground on what you actually think in terms of the coming over side of things. Right. Obviously, the manipulation side is when they're too much of a nice guy. And we've done a whole episode on nice guys, but there are some things to look out for with that too of, oh, you're so beautiful. You have such beautiful eyes. I can't wait to see you. I just have such a connection, and you've never met in person. You've never whatever. Those are somewhat of signs that they're trying to get something out of this. And if you're falling victim into that, then you need to take a step back and go, okay, well, why are they being so nice? What have I said to them to make them this nice to me? I've just been saying hi and whatever. Yeah. Why am I getting 10 good morning texts and all of this I'm beautiful stuff when, not that you don't deserve that, but you know what I mean?
Right.
You're not at that point with that person yet. Why am I getting all these messages from this person? What are they trying to get out of it?
Yes, and I think that the red flags are you really have to pay attention to them. You really have to look out for them. Like there are some, like in that one I was reading before, there's some yellow flags, and the guy saying, whatever he said, rare breed, and stuff like that, like just describing himself in that capacity. Yeah, like that right there is that's almost like someone saying I'm a nice guy. Like not quite, but it's almost like someone saying I'm a nice guy. So like that's not necessarily a red flag, but it's like a yellow flag, and you have to pay attention to these even more because they're going to be exacerbated, but also everything is going to be ramped up. Like the love bombing that's going to happen is going to be more aggressive. You're going to get people being nicer and friendlier and more complimentary now than even in because they're also lonely. And so
that is so true. Yeah.
Yes. So they're reacting in the way that they know how to do it, which doesn't mean that they're healthy, that you want to spend time with them. That just means that they're going to be like this.
They're trying to hold on to what they have,
yes.
And I say that in air quotes. So they're going to just overexert themselves onto you.
Yes.
So that you don't let go, so that you feel loved and cared for, but that's not healthy.
Right. Ugh. Have you had people, well, yeah, actually, I mean, shit, you had the doctor try to get you to come over. Have you had anybody else beyond him?
Yeah,
I
have.
I mean, even the guy that we just talked about in the first half, he was like, oh, I'd be willing. I wish I was there. I'd come over. Even then he was pushing it to that level.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't feel comfortable with anyone coming over to my place. Even if the excuse is, oh, I've been alone for 14 days, I'm fine. That's still not enough for me. Like me personally, it might be fine for other people to go, okay, well, if we stay away from each other and whatever, that's fine. But for me, that forcive feeling of, oh, well, I'm good, so you can trust me. And that the saying of you can trust me when I don't really know you is very unsettling.
Yeah,
because I don't fucking know you.
There's a whole obviously saying like in writing, you show don't tell, and that's the same thing with this type of thing. You can show somebody that they can trust you. You can't tell them they can trust you. You know, they have to feel that. They have to be able to say, "Oh, I feel like I can trust you." You can't be like, "You can trust me." Yes, you can trust me, and like just
I am a good person.
Trust me, I'm a good person. Yeah.
Listen to me.
Yeah, exactly.
But there are those people out there. Oh my God, yeah. It's the love bombing that I think is coming in. Well, it's funny on dating apps right now. What I've noticed is either it's the love bombing or it's the people who really just don't give a fuck. So you'll message a couple times and then you'll just disappear, or you'll message and then they'll just love bomb the shit out of you until you realize, oh, this is not a normal person. I should probably just delete.
Yeah, that, or there's also people I think sometimes they'll match and they don't have the ability to sustain normal conversation.
Oh, true.
And if they can't, that's a huge problem. You want somebody you can actually communicate with. And if they can't communicate with you, what's the point? There was someone else posted something in the group, and he was like trying to get her to text immediately, and she's like, well, it's so fast, I don't want to give her my number. And then she's like, so why did you reach out initially? And so instead of love bombing, he went the opposite. He went that kind of pickup artist negging that we talked about, where you try to give someone like a negative compliment. He said, well, about you, why she said, what caught your attention? Well, your look, and you seem to not be a bitch and might have a good heart. Like, that was his response.
Wow, what a compliment. I seem to not be a bitch. That's where I respond with, actually, you're wrong. I'm a fucking bitch. So
a raging cunt and goodbye. Like, that's your response.
That's what I would say.
Well, that just shows me how badly you read people. So, yeah, go fuck yourself. No.
God.
Yeah. So, like, I think some people are trying that negging. They're like, oh, yeah, let me just try to be like a little bit negative about you. Let me just try to make it feel like, so you want my approval, which is we talked about in the pickup artist episode.
Right. Well, if I make you feel down on yourself, then it'll make you want me more, because that's how psychology works, right?
That's right. She's like,
you down and you want me more.
Yeah. I'm not a bitch. So yeah, now I want to see you, like it's ridiculous. So yeah, I would say the first thing to remember is really very, very importantly, just take a step back from people. If you're feeling pressure from somebody on a dating app or by phone call or FaceTime or whatever, whether, just take a step back. It's okay to just be like, oh, I don't know, let me think about it, I'll let you know. And then don't reply for a little while and try to see how you feel about it. See if you're reacting normally or if this person's trying to manipulate you.
And if you take a step back and you don't reply for a little bit of time, if they then go fucking off on you for not replying, there's your sign. They were not a good person to meet up with in the first place, and you saved yourself all of that hassle. That's
very true. And dating apps and the communication we have before you actually meet them in person is all about screening them out. It's not about trying to find the one. It's really trying to screen people out so then you know who's worth your time. And taking your time to reply to people is a good way to screen people out, because you can see if they get mad, if they get passive aggressive, if they delete you on Snapchat because your answers aren't supposedly long enough, whatever. And so you get to see their actual experience and then how they handle a delay as well.
Right. And I mean, I mentioned this earlier in the episode of just how I've been processing going on dates with people and FaceTiming. You really need to evaluate your own mental health. And if you're fine and you're like, okay, I'm not experiencing any anxiety, I'm not going through any depression, I'm totally fine, I still challenge you to ask, am I really trying to date someone right now because I'm feeling lonely? What is the reason do I really want a relationship? Am I talking to this person because I see potential or just because I'm bored? Because that's something that I've had to weigh of, am I only talking to them because I have nothing fucking better to do? And I mean, I swipe because I'm bored anyways. That's outside of COVID-19. But now it's me asking the question of, am I going on a FaceTime date because I'm just fucking bored? Or do I actually kind of enjoy their texting already that I don't mind it? And that should be the answer, not, oh, well, I got nothing better to do, so why not? If that's your answer, you should just stop.
Well, yeah, you should just stop. I mean, and you definitely don't want to let them manipulate you into meeting up if you're just doing it just because you're bored as well. I think that's absolutely true. It's it can be tough because you do crave that human connection. And so if there's someone you're engaging with and you're having a good time and they're really trying to push you to come over, and they're really trying to, suggest that you should want to come over, that, this is a stupid, or that they're safe and you're safe and why not, etc. You have to wonder what else they're going to try to push you to do, and why it's so important to them. And it might be, because they crave human contact, but why is it so important that they try to push you after you say no? Like, what does that say about them and consent? If you're like, oh, I don't think so, and they keep pushing, why would you want to go over to their house? Because who knows what if you say no to something else and they're trying to push you past that?
That's exactly how I feel, because I've experienced where people push my boundaries. And so if they're always pushing for something, that's the exact thought I've had of, if they're already trying to nudge me in that direction with me giving, oh no, I don't really feel comfortable. What happens if I actually was to go over there? What would happen? Because that's honestly something that I worry about too. So, and I know I could always say no and push you and whatever to get, if that situation ever was to come about, but still, I don't want to put myself in that situation, and I want to weed out those people that are going to make me feel uncomfortable. And that honestly makes me feel uncomfortable when you're pushing yourself onto me, even if it's just to meet up in person, when I don't feel comfortable doing that because of my anxiety or whatever.
Which is why, for safety purposes, we always suggest that you don't go to someone's house on a first date, that you always meet in a public place, etc. And just because right now you can't meet in a public place necessarily, and things are a little bit different, doesn't mean that those rules shouldn't still apply. Your safety is still important. They're like, people in quarantine can still be rapists and murderers, and people who will sexually assault you. They can still be terrible fucking people because they're still there. They're just at home now.
Yep.
And so, don't put yourself at that risk, and don't go spend time with someone that you've never met before until you have a chance to vet them.
Yeah. Oh God, that got heavy.
Well, I think it's very important. And like, here's the thing: is if someone's messaging you back and forth and you're not sure, then take a screenshot, send it to a friend, and say, "Hey, is this guy being pushy?" And if your friend's like, "Fuck yeah," then maybe that's good. We post it in our group. If they we'll tell you for sure. The people in the group will have no problem being very aggressive and telling you if they think someone's being pushy. But get some other perspective. If that's the easiest thing to do when you're feeling emotionally vulnerable sometimes, and someone is trying to manipulate you, is to step away, like I said, and get the perspective of somebody else, because then you have a third person, you have other perspective viewing in other than yourself, so you're not in your own head saying, well, maybe I'm being crazy, maybe I'm being insecure, maybe I'm being too protective, maybe I'm being too careful. You have another friend saying, no, you're doing the right thing, and then you have some reassurance, and that can be a very helpful way to process that.
Yeah. I think that's what makes this so, and I say scary, because a lot of people are, or at least myself too, I'm alone right now. And if I haven't been reaching out to my friends as much as I would about certain dating things. So I would just go, okay, well, this is probably fine, instead of going to a friend. So that's a really great point, to actually go to. This is not the time to just cut everybody out, especially if you're questioning, oh, is this guy gonna, I don't know, make me feel unsafe or whatever. Definitely still check in with your friends and still have those conversations, because now I wouldn't say predators are more likely to attack during this time, but there are definitely tactics that can be used to.
Yeah, I would say they're more likely to attack, because it is. I mean, they're just the ones who are going to attack are still going to attack. Somebody who's going to ignore consent isn't going to change that because because of what's happening now. They're still going to ignore consent, and it is one of those. The risks are still very, very high, especially going to someone's house. If you go to someone's place, you are in their domain, and you don't know anything about what they like their home. You don't know how safe just the whole area is.
Did they fucking Clorox wipe their house before?
Well, I'm not even talking about that, but yeah, that makes sense.
That's how I look at it. It's like, you could be stuck in quarantine for 14 days all you want, but I don't know how often you actually fucking clean your place. So that's a no for me. That's a no for me. That enough. I'm good.
That's true. So if someone is really pushing you to try to come over, and you're feeling let's come up with some other ways that you can kind of offset that. I would say number one, we said like FaceTime date, virtual dating. We did a whole episode on virtual dating. Do that. Suggest that.
Right. I mean, virtual dating, continue the text conversation. If you do really, really, really want to meet up in person, make it a safe experience where you're both wearing masks, where you're both staying 6 feet apart, where you're like taking a walk somewhere, if that's like even an option in your city, I guess would be a thing. But I don't honestly really even suggest, me personally, I wouldn't even do that.
No.
I don't know.
Yeah, and like I wouldn't necessarily suggest that, but if you really like, yeah, I really want to see if this person's worth my time, and you really want to at least see them in person, and you have to, then do something like that. Find a, like I said, most places have restaurants that have takeout. Find a local restaurant, not a chain, somewhere you can support. Go pick up food. Go sit in a parking lot and sit in your separate cars away from each other, and and chat.
I like that so much. That idea is actually really great, considering that you did that with your friend too, and just sat there, and it's like going to a drive-in, but obviously there's no movie. You're just talking.
Right. Yeah, you're just talking, and you just sit there and chat, and then be like, okay, great. You finally get to meet them, and then you can drive home, and you have a little bit more of a feeling of who they are as a person. And like I said, yeah, walking in the park, etc. Don't take it any further at this point. And even though you have needs, you probably can go to Walgreens and get batteries still right now. So that's all you need.
Or get a rechargeable vibrator, or just buy more vibrators. That's something that's on my to-do list.
Did you burn out your vibrator already?
No, it's rechargeable, so I'm good. I don't need any more batteries.
It has a motor, it's going to burn out at some point.
I've had it for I've almost had it for 2 years. That's scary. No. God, yeah, no, I just need a new one. I need some diversity right now. But that's all. But yeah, get yourself a nice vibrator or whatever.
I don't know if you saw this in our group, but one of our listeners and a contributor, he posted this, and I didn't send you the link to this, but he posted and said, if two people were to go to full kink and wear full body latex, gloves, and N95 masks and leave only the required parts exposed, could COVID-19 be passed through strictly sexual contact? No kissing, no breathing each other's unfiltered air, just fucking. And what about oral with the same precautions in place? And then he said he was going to ask a doctor about it. So then
my God.
People commented. My comment was just jerk off. And he finally went, and what did he say? So the doctor said that this is not a sexually transmitted disease, and they do not believe it can be transmitted through sweat. Theoretically, oral would be fine as long as the recipient still wore a mask. The real danger is in the shared breath and droplets on surfaces. So as long as you stick with just the sex, no kissing, and the masks were fit and worn correctly, it would be safe. Also, no rim jobs.
Well, yeah, I mean, rim jobs are a no-go right now. Yeah, we already talked about that. You do not want to do that, but...
So I just love that he has come up with a scenario where he can have sex with someone if they both wear full-body latex suits and masks and gloves.
Well, those are about to be sold out on Amazon real quick.
Right, I know. And he's just got his dick hanging out, and she's just got a crotchless gimp suit on, and then they just fucking leave.
The boobs, though, is just like, is it like a crop top thing? And then
I think just crotchless.
Like
I think
you don't want a pant that goes up to here, and then just like a little thing. I don't know. What about the boobs?
Well, you don't want. But he said, yeah. They said, I don't know. It is really just the breath. So boobs are probably fine. In fact, I don't know why you necessarily need to wear. You just, as long as you had the mask and gloves on, in this case. Yeah, why do you need the latex body? If it's shared, the latex suit might just be a whole thing that he wants then, in that case.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
So anyways, I just thought that was interesting and kind of funny.
So it's possible is what you're telling me.
Right. Here's something I just thought of too, that if you were talking to somebody and it's getting serious and you still aren't comfortable meeting them, but you want to experience something more with them, you can order those sex toys that are remotely accessible, that are they're you can app control them, and so you can order one for each of you, and you can FaceTime and you can use them with each other and have a sexual experience, still get that kind of face-to-face, like at least some version of it, and get an orgasm out of it.
You could. I was thinking, you could first do phone sex, but we already talked about phone sex. You could first.
We really need to do an episode on this. I know we do.
You could first.
I want to write a script and then have you read it as phone sex.
I know. We're gonna do it.
But it'll be entertaining. I think it'll be our funniest episode.
This isn't funny. Yeah, no, but I mean, you could do that if you're really feeling the.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Like,
that's an investment. Honestly, that's an investment. That's something I would do maybe in a long distance relationship that was already established. Of okay, let's do this. I feel comfortable. Versus I've never met you in person. Then maybe I would do phone sex first. Then if I'd never met them in person before buying an item like that. But that's me.
Although if you bought something you already had and you could just give them access and then you could revoke the access, then that, I don't know. I actually have never used one of those. So I was just going to say we should try those out, but nope.
Abort conversation.
No, that is not going to happen.
I'm gonna excuse myself from this one. Are we finished here? Because I'm done. I have not drank enough for this fucking shit.
No.
Oh man. Well, if there is anything that you want to air out about COVID-19 and your dating experience, you can always join our Facebook group at facebook.com/group/DKS podcast. You can see the text messages from the conversation I had with that guy that we shared earlier in the episode. You can share screenshots of your own stuff and just join in on the conversation there. Again, if you want to check out the scavenger hunt that Adam put together but will not do, that is that is on our Instagram at Dating Kinda Sucks. It's also on our Facebook page and in our Facebook group as well. You can also join or follow us on our own personal Twitter accounts as well. And we'll probably get a 1-star review coming up because who will give us a 1-star review. But if you're enjoying this podcast,
and luckily if someone gives a 1-star review for that type of reason, Apple will remove it, so that's nice. If someone does if it's like a personal attack, they will remove it. So
if you puts a comment. But so if you are enjoying this podcast though, feel free to give us a review and a rating on iTunes. A 5-star would be great, but I'm not forcing you.
5-star. If you're listening, give us a 5-star. Come on.
And then you can also follow us on Spotify as well, or on any of the other podcast apps out there.
And we would love your support on Patreon at patreon.com/DKS podcast. And finally, check out our new YouTube channel where you can actually, if you're listening to this episode on Spotify or iTunes or one of those and you want to actually see the episode, we have the unedited episodes. I mean, Sarah does some editing, with the audio versions, but the video version I just stick up raw. You get to see our goofy faces at youtube.com/datingkindasucks, and our videos will be up there. And I don't know if I'm going to start making old episodes available with just like images. I don't know if that's worth it, but right now I think we're going to do all of our episodes from this point forward are going to be up on YouTube as well.
You can see our bright and shining faces.
And eventually we'll have a TikTok. Who knows?
Adam's gonna do a dance on there. I promise.
I'll do a fucking dance.
Something fucking stupid. But okay.
God.
So wait.
Remember I sent you that video that YouTube video of me dancing back from 15-20 years ago? Yeah.
Yeah. No, let's not post that on anywhere, please.
15 years ago. That's what it was. Yeah, it was crazy.
But I guess we won't be back next week. We'll be back the week after that.
Yes, we're back in 2 weeks.
So,
brand new episode. Would love to hear your thoughts on any topic ideas you'd like to hear about during, the COVID-19 and the quarantine, maybe things that we haven't thought of as well. And so feel free to chime in with that. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks with a brand new episode.
Until next time.
Whether you're married or single or poly or ace, or hanging out with swingers back at your place, listen to us as we get no fuck on Tinder and Bumble and plenty of yucks, trying and having no luck, because we all know dating kinda sucks. Sarah and Adam are two of a kind. He says stupid shit and she doesn't mind. They're not doing this show to make any buck. Life as a chicken whose feathers they pluck. Why does it work? Well, here is the crux. They both know dating kinda sucks. Dating kinda sucks.